Hello and welcome. This is my lighting for Animators. Today we are going to be looking at the Arnold lights photometric light. So we're going to add this. Boom. And we make that big. And right away you see it's not working. There's a couple of reasons why it's not working. So first and foremost reason is because we do not have a photometry file. Now, what is a photometric light? Well, photometric light, or sometimes people call them IES lights or light profiles, what they are is they are basically a bang, there we go. They're the light profile, or when a light is cast, right? You have the sort of the surrounding material that sort of reflects that light, and you also have the lensing that affects that light. And then as you see, the light beam is cast differently depending on how that light is constructed. For instance, here we're very familiar with this. If you ever use a flashlight, you always have these sort of rings within that flashlight, right? It's not a consistent brightness, and this is sort of really kind of a key thing in the lighting, is to give you sort of a more realistic light, because the way the area light works, there's not really lights that are like that, right? And if you're like hitting the wall or coming along the wall or something like that, using something like an IES light is going to give you a lot better feeling. And they're really easy to get. You just, come over and you just Google IES light profiles. I went flashlight IES just because I wanted to show that sort of picture. Right here, there's my Zest Freelight IES files. There's tons of IES light files around. There's a bunch of Pixar ones too, where they're named like Arrowhead and Jellyfish, and which I think reflect real lights, what they call real lights in photography. So from there, we're gonna grab those files. I already have these files. So I'm going to go photometric, and I'm just going to grab a light. I have a JPEG with all these numbers coming off here. I think it was actually that Zesty file that we just looked at. So we're going to bring this in, right? And then we're going to do our old trick of just a big exposure from the start, right? Because we just want to test to see if our light's there. Oh, and bang, our light's there, right? And so that's how that profile is casting right now. Now, what you'll find is sometimes that might not actually be casting, and the reason why is because some of them can't take that zero radius, right? So increase that radius size, and we'll get into what this radius does. A zero radius indicates a pin light, a pinprick light, and there's no really such thing as a pinprick light. And the reason why you don't want to use a pinprick light is because they just don't exist, right? There's always a thickness to a light. Now, the reason that you kind of do want to use one is that they render a lot faster, right? But as we demonstrated in other videos, in that Da Vinci quote that I can't quote precisely, but do not use your shadows should not be sharp lines. That is unrealistic. Shadows have a softness to them, so you want that softness. You see the softness here, but that's coming from the bounce of that light. So here in my my child's bedroom, I have a little what the heck are those things called? They are called night lights. So I'm just going to take this guy here. Now you notice that this light is also very focused, right? Now that's because that's this light here. That doesn't mean all lights are going to be very focused. So that's sort of a big thing to understand. And I'm going to bring this size down here. It's not going to affect the intensity because we haven't normalized the light. All right, so it's blasting just a little high here. So why don't we come to this exposure now and let's just bring it down. All right. And then usually night lights are going to have some sort of blue feel to them. And then here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go straight to a blue, and I'm not going to use temperature. I'm going to use something that looks unnatural, because these tend to look unnatural anyway, right? And then so here's kind of like an idea of what a night light is going to give us. Now, I'm not too sure if this is particularly a good profile, so maybe I can just go and grab another one. So let's try 19. There you go. So that's like fanning out, and that's kind of lighting that area. Again, I'm going to, actually not again, but I'm going to bring this, going to increase the samples so it's not so messy, right? And now I'm just going to bring down this exposure. Something like that. So the 19 is not so bad. Why don't we try something else here? Let's kick the 20. 20 is not so bad. Maybe if I come in here and I pull this back a bit, so it's not kicking into that wall so much. And let's just see where how that's pointing. All right, so let's pull back. Now, really, what I could do is I could just, quit being such a lazy slacker and look at my little chart to come up with what would be nice. However, then I wouldn't be able to show you these like different patterns and stuff. So, don't judge. Just you see all these little patterns coming across. So the radius here, again, this is talking about the size of the light. Now, here I'm saying that the pinprick light doesn't really exist, right? But if we actually look to see what's going on, I don't think that's so bad, because I'm not really casting a shadow on anything, right? This shadow is being cast by that's being cast by the light, and everything else is not really being cast anywhere, so it's not really noticeable. So I could probably get away with actually having no radius here, because I don't have to worry about sharp shadows, because it's not really lighting anything up where it really makes a difference, right? If I pull back here, I guess I can see, now I can see that shadow being cast into the room. Why don't we actually just turn that on right now? Let's get in here for a sec and show what the radius does. So just note how sharp that is. Let's just screenshot that. And now if I come to the radius and I say give it a 3 radius, see how that totally softened up that shadow up there, right? So maybe I'll drop it down to 1, and then it takes that ball. Now it's making a sort of a nice soft shadow. Now again, it kind of just really depends on what's going on. I'm probably not going to see that roof. All right, so I'm going to do something like this. I kind of like this, the way this one looks. Reminds me of ones that I've seen before, as I am a dad. Let me just kind of position this in here. Okay, so I have this IES going on now, and I think it looks. I like this design. Now the problem is that it's not really doesn't really feel like it's lighting that room. So I can do one of two things. I can come into this indirect, and I can really just crank up this indirect bounce, right? So if I hit 5 here, see, now you really see that blue kind of radiating through, and then I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna up the samples maybe to something like a 5. If I look at this beauty, and then why don't we come over here to the lights, and here's that IES, and let's just isolate this one and see how much noise is actually getting cast by all this. and maybe we need to clean this up more, right? And so then I would just come around and bounce this more and more, and just kind of tune that to what I like. We really can't. The denoiser is a nice way to get to where we want to be, but it also it's like that cherry on top when you render. It shouldn't really be your crutch, because your animation can like look kind of smudgy and stuff as you're going along. All right, so I think I like the way that looks. Now there's another cheat that I can kind of do here if I like sort of this technique here. Instead of going with this and maybe introducing more noise and stuff like that, what I can do is I can come along and we can go Arnold, and we can do a light, and then I'm just going to add another area light here, and I'm going to go to the color. I'm just going to match the color that we used before from the picker, and let's go to a 20 exposure again, just to see if that light turns on. And of course it's not turning on. No. Oh, that's because we've isolated this light over here, so that's why. All right. Yeah. All right, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take this exposure, I'm going to bring it down. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to help this light, right? So I'm going to take this light here, maybe something like this. Bring it down like that. Give it a little more tilt. So what this is doing is it's kind of faking that bounce, right? Right now it feels like this, this is giving us all this light, where it's not, where we're just helping it along with a nice fill light, right? So that would just be a nice like little fill area light, and yeah, something like that works quite well. Very cool in this area. Then you could tweak it and stuff like that, but that basically is a photometric light, and we just kind of punch that up with some other lighting. And thank you very much. Oh, actually, before I go there, let's actually see if there's any. I think we've gone through all these things, except for we haven't gone through this yet, volume samples, but we have gone through all the settings in the light. So yeah. I called it a little early, but that's okay, because we are now officially done. So thank you very much.